Shabbat shalom, peace and love, Shabbat shalom. Be reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 through 20, I believe. Yep, chapter 19 through 22. So we'll be reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 to 22. Bear with me as I try to get through this, y'all. What? Peace. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 2, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say to them, be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart. Be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart. Verse 3, each one of you should fear his mother and his father, and guard Sabbaths. Each one of you should fear his mother and his father and guard my Sabbaths. I am Yahuwah. So, yeah, should be honoring, fearing your parents. Even when they're not scary, fear them. Fear them anyway. Verse 4, do not turn to idols, and do not make for yourselves molded mighty ones. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Verse 5, and when you slaughter a slaughtering of peace offering to Yahuwah, slaughter it for your acceptance. Verse 6, it is eaten the same day you slaughter it, and on the next day, and that which is left on the third day is burnt with fire. Verse 7, so if it is eaten at all on the third day, it is an abominable and is not accepted. Verse 8, and he who eats it bears his crookedness, because he has profaned the set apart offering Yahuwah, and that being shall be cut off from his people. Verse 9, when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Verse 10, and do not glean your vineyard or gather every grape of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Verse 11, do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another. That means fraud. That means no finessing. It means all that. Don't be getting into none of that. Verse 12, and do not swear falsely by my name, and so profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Verse 13, do not oppress your neighbor. Do not oppress your neighbor. Do not oppress your neighbor or rob him. Do not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of him who is hired is not to remain with you all night until morning. So we really supposed to be getting paid every day. We really supposed to be getting paid every day. This is according to God, we supposed to be getting paid every day. The wages of him who is hired is not to remain with you all night until morning. So technically, we should be getting paid every day, every night. Do not oppress your neighbor or rob him. So if we're not getting paid every day and every night, that's technically biblically oppression. That's biblically considered oppression. That's biblically considered us being robbed if we're not getting paid every night, which we're not. Most of us not. I mean, if you work independent contracting, you get paid same night, but most people are not getting paid the same night. and they should be. Verse 14, do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but fear your Elohim. So you're not to make fun of the deaf or the blind. Verse 15, verse 15, do no unrighteousness in right ruling. Do not be partial to the poor or favor the face of the great. Do not be partial to the poor because they're poor, or do not, show favor to the face of the great, but rightly rule your neighbor in righteousness. Verse 16, do not go slandering among your people. Do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Verse 17, do not hate your brother in your heart. Do not hate your brother in your heart. All of this is what the Mashiach came along and said. It's funny how this was all said already in the Torah, was considered the Torah in Leviticus. All of this was already said. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Correct your neighbor. Reprove your neighbor. Correct your neighbor for certain, and bear no sin because of him. Verse 18, do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people. So do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people. And you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Sounds familiar? And you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is the Old Testament. This is Leviticus saying this. You should love your neighbor as you love yourself. So don't listen to nobody that says, oh, it didn't say that in the Old Testament. This is actually where it came from. This is actually what the Mashiach was citing. And you should love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 19, guard my laws. Do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Guard my laws. Do not sow your field with mixed seed. Do not put a garment of woven of two sorts of thread upon you. So you're not the mixed garments material. You're not the mixed seeds in the field. Like, imagine if we actually followed these instructions and, how we would make out, how we would end up, how we would, turn out following these actual instructions. It says, do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Do not sow your field with mixed seeds. Do not put a garment woven of two sorts of thread upon you. Verse 20. And when a man has intercourse with a woman who is a female servant engaged to a man, and to be ransomed, but she has not been ransomed nor set free, there should be an inquiry. But they are not put to death because she was not free. She was not free. Verse 21, and he shall bring his guilt offering to Yahuwah to the door of the tent of appointment, a ram as a guilt offering. So this is where when a man has intercourse with a woman who is a female servant engaged to a man and to be ransomed, but she has not been ransomed nor set free. there should be an inquiry, but they are not put to death because she was not free. This is like hiring, like employee. Employment was different then. Employment was considered being a servant and all that. You may have been a servant to survive, to eat, to be, taken care of, or you might have been a servant to pay a debt. You know, let's not get it confused. Verse uh Verse 21, and he shall bring his guilt offering to Yahuwah to the door of the tent of appointment, a ram as a guilt offering. Verse 22, and priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before Yahuwah for his sin, which he has done, and the sin which he has sinned shall be forgiven him. Verse 23, and when you come into the land and have planted all kinds of trees for food, planted all kinds of trees for food, key word, food from trees. Then you shall reckon their fruit as uncircumcised. For 3 years it is as uncircumcised to you. It is not eaten. Verse 24. Verse 24. And in the 4th year, all its fruit is set apart. Praises to Yahuwah. Verse 25, and in the 5th year you eat its fruit. 5th year you eat its fruit, so that it increases its field, so that it increases its yield to you. So this seem like these are gems for us to live by, and we just, it's probably why we're not in abundance as we should be. We're not following, what was written. Verse 26, do not eat meat with the blood. Do not practice divination or magic. Do not eat meat with the blood, and do not practice divination or magic. So that means don't be eating rare, rare, what is it, rare done and medium rare, and we're not to be eating meat like that. Medium rare and rare, whatever the case may be, like you well done the situation. And even well done, I question. But well done the situation. And we're not to be practicing divination or magic. There's a reason why we're not to be practicing that stuff. Verse 27, do not round the corners of your head, nor destroy the corners of your beard. So do not round the corners of your head. So I don't have, I made sure I don't round off the corner, the corner of my head and destroy the corners of my beard. Whatever that just, I guess that means like take it completely away. I cut my beard, but I didn't completely do away with it. Obviously it's still visible. Verse 28, and do not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah. So no tattoos, and no rounding the corners of the head, nor destroy the corners of the beard. Verse 29, do not profane your daughter by making her a whore. Do not profane your daughter by making her a whore. So don't sell your daughter. So that the land does not whore, and the land becomes filled with wickedness. Verse 30, guard my Sabbath and reverence, guard my Sabbaths, guard my Sabbaths, guard my Sabbaths and reverence my set apart place. I am Yahuwah. Verse 31, do not turn to mediums. Do not turn to mediums. Do not turn to mediums, and do not seek after spiritists to be defiled by them. Do not turn to mediums and do not seek after spiritualists to be defiled by them. Verse 30, it says, I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Verse 32, rise up before the gray-headed. Rise up before the gray-headed. So, stand before old people. It's appropriate to stand before old people, people who are old. It's important to stand in their presence. And you shall favor the face of an old man and shall fear your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Verse 33, and when a stranger sovereigns with you in your land, do not oppress him. So do not oppress a stranger. When a stranger sovereigns with you, do not oppress him. Verse 34, let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as a native among you. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For were strangers, you were strangers in Misraim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So this is for people who are super nationalists, you know, they super uh nationalists, and they don't like other nationalities. This is for them. It says, let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. You should love your stranger, not just your neighbor, love your stranger as well. This is a clear indication that this was in the Old Testament. So all the Old Testament, pro Old Testaments, you know, this is there. This was there. Along with love your brother as you love yourself. I mean, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Also, love the stranger. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. Huh? Yeah, what that's doing? What is that doing there? Verse 35, it says, verse 35, do no unrighteousness in right rulings. Do no unrighteousness in right rulings, in measurement of length, in weight, or in measuring liquids. So you got to make sure all measurements is on point. Have some integrity. Have some integrity. Verse 36, have right scales, right weights. Have right scales and right weights. Right ephahs and right hin. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Misraim. Verse 37, and you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings and do them. I am Yahuwah. This is a heavy chapter, man. A very overlooked chapter because it really touched on a lot of what people have overlooked and forgotten or just never knew was there. It touched on loving a stranger in Leviticus. This is what it says in Leviticus, Old Testament. It says, let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. This is what it says in chapter 19 of Leviticus, verse 34. You know what I mean? Then it also says in verse 19, no, in verse 18, do not take vengeance or bear grudge against the children of your people. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Hmm? Huh? Chapter 20. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 2, say to the children of Israel, any man of the children of Israel or of the stranger who sojourn in Israel, who gives any of his offspring to Molech, shall certainly be put to death. So anyone who gives his offspring to Molech, and that could be modern day Plan B, so on and so on. Take it how you wanna. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. Verse 3. And I shall set my face against that man and shall cut him off from the midst of his people because he has given of his offspring to Molech. So abortions and all that, yeah, that's a form of giving your offspring to Molech. So as to defile my set apart place and to profane my set apart name. Verse 4. And if the people of the land at all hide their eyes from the man as he gives any of his offspring to Molech, and they do not unalive him, verse 5, then I shall set my face against that man and against his clan, and shall cut him off, and all who go whoring after him, even go whoring after Molech from the midst of the people. So he's cutting everybody off who's getting into this. He's cutting everybody off who's getting into this. Verse 6. And the being who turns to mediums and to spiritists to go horn after them, I shall set my face against that being and cut him off from the midst of his people. He's not going for any of that. Verse 7. And you shall set yourselves apart. You should set yourselves apart. You turn yourselves and no turning to mediums and none of that. You're getting cut off. You get cut off when you do that. And cut off meaning like, you start feeling weird, things start happening, you wondering what's going on, world collapsing around you. And you should set yourselves apart and shall be set apart, for I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Verse 8, and you shall guard my laws and do them. I am Yahuwah who sets you apart. Verse 9, for everyone who curses his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death, unalive. He has cursed his father or his mother, and his blood is on him. Verse 10, and a man who commits adultery with the wife of another man, who commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, the adulterer and the adulteress shall certainly be alive. Verse 11, and a man who lies with the wife of his father has uncovered the nakedness of his father. Both of them shall be certainly unalive. Their blood is upon them. Verse 12, and a man who lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall certainly be unalive. They have made confusion. Their blood is upon them. Verse 13, and a man who lies with a male as he lies with a woman, and a man who lies with a male as he lies with a woman, both of them have done an abomination. They shall certainly be unalive. Their blood is upon them. Their blood is upon them. Verse 14, and a man who marries a woman and her mother, it is wickedness. They are burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness in your midst. Verse 15, a man who has intercourse with a beast, he shall certainly be unalive, and the beast you unalive as well. Verse 16, a woman who approaches any beast and mates with it, you shall unalive the woman and the beast. They shall certainly be unalive. Their blood is upon them. Verse 17, a man who takes his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it says, is it, and sees his nakedness, is it loving commitment, and they shall be cut off before the eyes of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness, and he bears his crookedness. So yeah, they cut off from their people. They not, they're not unalive, but they're cut off from their people because they just. Verse 18, and a man who lies with a woman during her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, he has laid bare her flow, and she has uncovered the flow of her blood. Both of them shall be cut off from the midst of their people. So when you're laying with a woman while she's on her month, you cut off from your people, man. Verse 19, and do not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for that is laying bare one's own flesh. They bear their crookedness. Verse 20, and a man who lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They bear their sin. They die childless. They die childless. And a man who lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. So, yeah, without a child. That's what you go when you lie with your aunt. Verse 21, and a man who takes his brother's wife, it is uncleanliness. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They are childless. So when you take your brother's wife, you go childless. When you take your brother's wife, you go childless. Verse 22, and you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings and do them, so that the land where I am bringing you to dwell does not vomit you out. Verse 23, and do not walk in the laws of the nation which I am driving out before you, for they do all these, and therefore I loathe them. Verse 24, but I say to you, you are going to possess their land, and I myself give it to you to possess it, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who has separated you from the peoples. Verse 25, and you shall make a distinction between clean beasts and unclean. You shall make a distinction. You shall make a distinction between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean birds and clean. And do not make yourselves abominable by beast or by bird or whatever creeps on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. This is no matter where you go, this doesn't change. No matter how long ago this was established, this doesn't change. What was considered unclean is still unclean to this day. What is considered clean is clean to this day. No matter where you are or who you are. And you shall make a distinction between clean beast and unclean, and between unclean bird and clean, and do not make yourselves abominable by beast or by bird or whatever creeps on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. I have separated from you as unclean. Separated from. Verse 26, and you shall be set apart to me, for I am set apart. For I, Yahuwah, am set apart, and have separated you from the peoples to be mine. He separated us from the peoples to be his. That's why he gave us this information. Verse 27, and a man or a woman in whom there is a medium or who are spiritists shall certainly be unalive. They are to stone them with stones. Their blood is upon them. Chapter 21. I believe this is the chapter. Leviticus, chapter 22. Chapter 21, verse 1. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, speak to the priests and to the sons of Aaron, and say to them, no one is to be defiled for the dead among his people. Verse 2, except for his relatives who are nearest to him, for his mother or for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his maiden sister who is near to him, who has had no husband, for her he is defiled. No one is to be defiled for the dead among his people. It's talking about funerals, I'm believing, burials, going around bodies. Verse 4, a leader does not defile himself among his people to profane himself. Verse 5, they do not make any bald place on their heads, and they do not shave the corners of their beards. So do not make a bald place on their heads, and they do not shave the corner of their beards, and they do not make a cutting in their flesh. This is what the leaders do not do. Verse 6, they are set apart to their Elohim and do not profane the name of their Elohim, for they bring the fire offering of Yahweh and the bread of their Elohim and shall be set apart. Verse 7, they do not take a woman who is a whore or a defiled woman, and they do not take a woman put away from her husband, for he is set apart to his Elohim. And you shall set him apart, for he brings the bread of Yahuwah of Elohim. He is set apart to you, for I, Yahuwah, setting you apart, am set apart. Verse 9, and when the daughter of any priest profanes herself by whoring, she profanes her father. She is burnt with fire. Verse 10, and the high priest among his brothers, of whose head the anointing oil was poured, who is ordained to wear the garments, does not unbind his head, nor tear his garment. Verse 11, nor come near any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother. Verse 12, nor go out of the set apart place, nor profane the set apart place of his Elohim, for the sign of dedication of anointing oil of his Elohim is upon him. I am Yahuwah. Verse 13, and let him take a wife in her maidenhood. Verse 14, a widow or one put away, or a defiled woman, a widow or one put away, or a defiled woman, or a whore, these he does not take. But a maiden of his own people he does take as a wife. Verse 15, he does not profane his offspring among his people, for I am Yahuwah who sets him apart. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aaron, saying, no man of your offspring throughout your generation who has a defect is to draw near to bring the bread of his Elohim. Verse 18, for any man who has a defect is not to draw near a man blind or lame or disfigured or deformed. Verse 19, a man who has broken foot or broken hand. Verse 20, or is hunchback or dwarf, or a man who has a defect in his eye, or eczema, or scab, or a nook. Verse 21, no man among the offspring of Aaron, the priest who has a defect, is to come near to bring the offering made by fire to Yahuwah. He has a defect. He does not come near to bring the bread of his Elohim. Verse 22, he does eat the bread of his Elohim, both the most set apart and the set apart. Verse 23, only he does not go near the veil or approach the slaughter place because he has a defect, lest he profanes my set apart place, for I am Yahuwah who sets them apart. Verse 24, thus Moshe spoke to Aaron and his sons and to all the children of Yisrael. Chapter 22, verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons that they separate themselves from the set apart offering of the children of Israel, and that they do not profane my set apart name in what they set apart to me. I am Yahuwah. Verse 3. Say to them, any man of all your offspring throughout your generations who draw near the set apart offering which the children of Israel set apart to Yahuwah while he has unearnest upon him, that being should be cut off from before me. I am Yahuwah. Verse 4. Any man of the offspring of Aaron who is a leper or has a discharge does not eat the set apart offering until he is clean. And whoever touches what is rendered unclean by a being or a man who has an emission of semen, verse 5, or a man who touches any swarming creature by which he would be made unclean, or any being by whom he would be unclean, even any of his uncleanliness. Verse 6, the being who has touched it shall be unclean until evening, and does not eat the set apart offering, but shall bathe his body in water. Verse 7, and when the sun goes down, and he be clean, and afterward eat the set apart offering, because it is his food. Verse 8, he does not eat that which dies or is torn by beasts, becoming unclean by it. I am Yahuwah. Verse 9, and they shall guard my charge, lest they bear sin, for it is and bear sin for it and die thereby when they profane it. I am Yahuwah, set them apart. Verse 10, and no stranger eats the set apart offering. A sojourner with the priest or a hired servant does not eat the set apart offering. Verse 11, but when the priest buys a being with his silver, he does eat of it, and one who is born in his house does eat his food. Verse 12, and when a priest's daughter is married to a stranger, she does not eat of the set apart offering. Verse 13, but when a priest's daughter is a widow or put away and has no child and has returned to his father's house as in her youth, she does eat her father's food, but no stranger eats of it. Verse 14, and when a man eats the set apart offering by mistake, then he shall give a set apart offering to the priest and add 1/5 to it. Verse 15, let the priest not profane the set apart offering of the children of Israel, which they lift up to Yahuwah. Verse 16, or allow them to bear the crookedness of trespass when they eat their set apart offering, for I am Yahuwah who sets them apart. Verse 17, Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 18, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, any man of the house of Israel or of the stranger of Israel who brings his offering for any of his vows or for any of his voluntary offerings, which they bring Yahuwah as ascending offering. Verse 19, for your acceptance is a male, a perfect one from the cattle, from the sheep, or from the goats. Verse 29, whatever has a defect you do not bring, for it is not acceptable for you. Verse 21, and when a man brings a slaughter of peace offering to Yahuwah to complete a vow or a voluntary offering from the cattle or of the sheep, it is the perfect to be set apart. It is a perfect to be perfect to be accepted. Let there be no defect in it. Verse 22, those blind or broken or cut or having a ulcer or eczema or scabs, you do not bring to Yahuwah, nor make an offering by fire of them on the slaughter place to Yahuwah. Verse 23, as for a bull or a lamb that has any limb, deformed or dwarf, you do prepare a voluntary offering, but for a vow it is not accepted. Verse 24, do not bring to Yahuwah what is bruised or crushed or torn or cut, nor do it in your land. Verse 25, and from a son of a stranger's hand, you do not bring any of these as bread of your Elohim, for their corruption is in them and defects are in them. They are not acceptable for you. Verse 26, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 27, when a bull or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall be 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day and thereafter it is acceptable as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. Verse 28, but do not slay a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. Verse 29, and when you slaughter a slaughtering of thanksgiving to Yahuwah, slaughter it for your acceptance. Verse 30, it is eaten that same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am Yahuwah. Verse 31, and you shall guard my commands and do them. I am Yahuwah. Verse 32, and do not profane my set apart. Do not profane my set apart name, and I shall be set apart among the children of Israel. I am Yahuwah, who sets you apart. Verse 33, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim to be your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. That was the book of Leviticus chapter, what did we read? Chapter 20 through 22 or 19 through 22. Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to be closing this live out and I'm going to be picking it back up in the book of Ezekiel. If you're able to pull up, if not, peace, love, Shabbat Shalom, peace and love.